We are here live at Servcorp to discuss all things media advertising, marketing, and how to get better results from your existing campaigns. I'm Aleisha, and I'm the founder and CEO at Ultimate Edge Communications. On July 1st, 2014, we started this new business called Ultimate Edge Communications. And now 11 years later, just last month, we managed over $50 million of campaigns, generated $200 million in sales for our clients, and delivered over 1 million prospects for their businesses. Now that hasn't been, I know, and I don't say that to impress you, I say that because along the way, there's been a whole bunch of clues, a whole bunch of strategies, a whole bunch of frameworks, a whole bunch of methodologies that I have used to get those results consistently. And that probably comes back from the figure skating time, because as an athlete, you learn process, you learn discipline, you find out really quickly what works and what doesn't. You go, right, that works, you go with that. So after 16 years in media advertising and marketing and 11 years of running Ultimate Edge, I've been able to curate the formula, the frameworks, and the methodologies to deliver the market-beating results. Yeah, and so now at the point where I am now, it's a matter of, okay, how can I support businesses, both small and up and coming, what I'd call like that middle market, to really be able to achieve incredible results from the marketing and the media advertising campaigns that they run. Okay, and that's what tonight's about. Tonight's about giving that to you so that you guys can walk away with some really interesting strategies, but then also just get an update of what is going on. Because I'm not sure if you've noticed, but a lot is changing in the media advertising and the marketing space at rapid pace. And I'm sure majority of you in the room would appreciate it's got a little bit harder to get to your clients, the clients that you want to be working with, the ideal clients. You know, no longer, when I started in radio, pick up the phone, have a conversation, let's go. That doesn't happen anymore. We're in a completely different world from a media advertising and a marketing perspective, and so we have to think differently. We have to adjust our approach, yeah? So who's using social media at the moment, like doing organic social posts, doing a bit of organic social? LinkedIn, awesome. Doing a bit of LinkedIn. Who's doing LinkedIn? Yep, awesome. So in that B2B space, absolutely, that is key. And then who's using sort of Instagram, Meta, maybe a bit of TikTok? Anyone using some of those platforms? Yeah? Okay, cool. Because that is really where I think about media advertising 10, 5, even 2 years ago, and just the way in which we would market. Now what we have to do now, it's almost like it's completely flipped on its head. So if you let's just take the social media platforms, for example. So if you just take Meta, TikTok, so Meta is your Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. 90% of the content that you now put out is algorithmically controlled. So what that means is there's like a barrier to entry, right? So first, let's just say 6 months ago, it was just, hey, you know what? You get straight into the platform, you'll deliver, you'll add your campaigns and all that kind of thing. Now there is someone judging you, and that person judging you is called an algorithm. And the algorithm is saying, if you don't meet these 3 or 4 different expectations, your content's not even going to get delivered to anybody. So now if you're producing content, if you're doing posts, if you're educating your consumers, you have to now think about what is the value of the content, what's the value of the creative that I can deliver to ensure it actually gets to my market. Right? Now, what does that mean? That means that you have to be able to grab the attention of the consumer in 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds is what you have to get the attention of your consumer. If you don't nail it in 2.5 seconds, just keep scrolling. They just keep scrolling, and they scroll straight past you. If your content doesn't meet the engagement metrics of being relevant, of being authoritative, of having enough sort of what I would call non-technical bells and whistles to grab the eyeballs, it's not even going to get picked up. And also, if you don't have any engagement, likes, comments, shares within the first hour, your content will not be prioritized. So what does that mean? That means if you're producing content, LinkedIn, doesn't matter where you're producing it, you need to be thinking about these things. You need to be thinking, how can I make something that's really engaging, that's going to cut through, that's going to create value, and that's going to be worthy of the consumer's time to watch that. And that's the really key part is this worthy? If I was in their shoes, would I watch this? Would I take the time to see this? Yeah? And then how could you, in your content, actually make this engaging and compelling? And then finally, who are the friends that you can call to make sure that they like and comment on it within the first hour so it gets picked up by the algorithm? So if you've got a lot of friends in 2025, you're winning, because you call your friends and you say, hey, I need you to like and comment on my post, and then sure enough. If you're in the AI world, then you're just using bots, right? So now you've got all of these bots floating around, which I'm sure all of you would have noticed in social media, where they've just got bots commenting. So we're in a really interesting space between how do we maintain authenticity, how do we maintain credibility, authority, especially in the B2B space, but then how do we actually get the leverage and the traction we need for our posts, for our content to be picked up? So the content now is the new stage of the funnel. Sorry, I misspoke. The content now is the new door entry. It's how you get in, yeah? So everybody who, most of you will know media advertising or just media and marketing funnels. Who knows like your typical marketing funnel, right? So you got your, yeah, exactly. And everyone would have seen a manifestation of this. You've got your awareness at the top of the funnel, you've got your consideration, intention, and conversion. Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how this has all changed and how B2B, B2C, this is how we need to communicate. So I'm going to grab this whiteboard out just because normally I have a whole bunch of slides and that kind of thing. So tonight we're improvising and we're doing this. Okay. And also my writing is awful, so good luck to all of you. So hopefully what I say is going to be good, because yeah, this could get tricky. So your marketing funnel, let's just take a look here. So typically in the funnel you have, oh, there we go. Excellent, that's a good start. Right, so you've got your marketing funnel. And then at the top of the funnel, you've got awareness, consideration, intention. So awareness, consideration, intention, and then conversion, which is your dollars, yeah? Now, typically, up until about 6 months ago, people would move through this funnel relatively consistently. So they would go from awareness, they might see some things, they might see you on social media, they might see your website, and they're just starting to get to know you here, but they haven't taken any action. So they're just becoming aware. Now at the consideration stage, they're now doing something. They're taking some form of action. So they might have gone to your website, they might have read an email, they might have looked at a product, but they're just browsing. Yeah, so consideration is I'm just browsing, traffic is happening, something is going on. At the intention phase, now they've given you something. So now they might have downloaded a guide. You might have some first party data, name, email, postcode, whatever it might be. Here at the intention phase, you've now started to collect some data. Have we got any e-commerce businesses in the room? Oh, interesting, no e-commerce businesses. Because for e-commerce, that would be an add to cart. So I'm about to purchase, I'm adding things to my cart, right? But for B2B and anything else, this is where you're starting to get the inquiries. And then at the conversion stage, this is where the sale is actually taking place. It's actually happening. So that was sort of our typical funnel, and people would move through that nice in a linear fashion. And from a marketing standpoint, we're about to create our journeys and our email flows and all that kind of thing. Make sense? Cool. Now, what has changed is consumers are spending more than ever now at the awareness stage of the funnel, and they don't want to have a conversation with you. So don't be offended. They don't want to have a conversation with anybody, okay? So at the awareness stage, what's happening now is you've got, sorry, man, I'll move that so you can see it. We've got, at the top here, we've got our short form content, okay? And this is going out to multiple on multiple platforms. So short form content, anything less than 1:30, short piece of content that people can capture on the go and they can watch it. It's valuable, they can engage. If they want to, then they can go and explore at the consideration. But this is just about pumping out the content at the top of the funnel, yeah? And you want to be doing this across multiple platforms. The second part in the awareness stage is third-party collabs, okay? So this is becoming more in a world where there is so little trust. Nobody trusts anyone. No one wants to talk to anyone. The fact that you're all here tonight is a miracle. So like, it's just a different world. So at this stage here, what you want to look for is you want to look for third parties. So collaborations that you can do with other companies to build credibility. Yeah, so for example, I'm here tonight. I'm here with a credible company, Servcorp. So I know that my clients are interacting with Servcorp. So now I have a third-party collaboration with a company like Servcorp. I recently did with a fantastic company like Servcorp. I recently did the same thing with Salesforce. So I did a Q&A at Salesforce for the team to talk about how they actually can use their tech for marketing. Because they know the tech, but they don't know how to now bring that to life from a marketing and a media advertising point of view and really tap in to the problems that the CMO, the Chief Marketing Officer, has. Okay, so this is key. If you can find, especially in local environments, those third-party collaborations where you can align to trusted sources. Now what's going to happen is if a company trusts Servcorp, they're now going to trust me by association. Do you see how that works? So that's like, it's almost old school, but this is coming back now, right back into the fold because it's more critical than ever. And then the final part, which we haven't even left the awareness stage yet. Like this is how much the things have changed. We haven't even left the awareness stage, is the 7-11-4 framework. The 7-11-4 framework has now become mission critical in a world of social media, in a world of not actually being able to have a human-to-human conversation. So now I have to have a conversation with you when it's convenient for you, when you're online at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. I need to be able to have a conversation and engage with you in some way because you don't want to come to my Thursday afternoon Canberra event at 4:30, right? So this is now mission critical. What does it mean? 7 hours of content, 11 interactions, 4 different platforms. So in the space of 90 days, if you want to become aware and build some form of trust and association with your audience, you need to find a way to deliver 7 hours of content to them, have 11 different interactions with them across 4 different platforms. Okay? Super easy, right? Because we've all got all the time in the world to produce great content. Insert video here. Leverage. Yeah? Going to come and talk to you. Content for the next, for the next 2 months. So this is now what has to, and I'm telling you these strategies, I'm doing them, right, in real time. So I'm telling you and doing at the same time. So that is really the big breakthrough. It's like, well, hang on a second, if that's what it takes now, and that's not to get a sale, that's just to get some form of trust and some form of awareness with your audience, because they are engaging content when they want across multiple different platforms, and they want you to engage with them when they are ready, not when you are ready. And then eventually, if you tick all of those boxes, not all, I'm exaggerating, you don't have to tick all of them, but tick like a good chunk of them, right? Now people are going to come into the consideration stage. Now what's happening in the consideration stage, Google tagged this as decoding the customer journey. So they wrote if you want to read it, it's like a 30-page white paper just on decoding the customer journey. If anyone wants to come and read it, come and join me and we'll read it together, we'll break it down. I love this stuff. Anyway, so this is what Google said. And what they were talking about were they were trying to decode the messy middle. Now this is where consumers get stuck. And at this stage, at the consideration stage of the funnel, what's happening now is they are moving around in a figure-8 pattern between exploration and evaluation. Exploration and evaluation. And they are getting stuck in the messy middle. Why are they getting stuck? Because brands have not given them a compelling enough reason to move to the next stage. So this is the real key here, is that if consumers are moving around or your clients are moving around in this stage between exploration and evaluation and they can't get out of this stage, you have to ask yourself, what do I have to do to get consumers to the next stage of the funnel? Now at this stage, what they might be doing is they might be reading long form articles or content, yeah? They might be watching a webinar, or they might be getting education content, right? So this is where still they're not really having a real conversation with you. All they're doing is just circling around. They're engaging with your content. They might be reading some of your education stuff. They might watch an old webinar. They might have found an old page on your website that you didn't even know was there, but they found really interesting. So they are doing at this stage their own research, their own searching. because they don't want you to guide them through. They want to be able to choose their own journey, navigate their own way through it. You just have to make sure this is all there for them so that when they're ready, they can now go through to the next stage. Then we get to is this all making sense so far? Yeah, you're with me? Good, nods. Yeah, of course.
7 hours.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking 7 hours of 1 minute 30.
Well, kind of, yeah. So if we look at it, I'm glad you did the math because No, you're spot on, because across, so for example, some of those might be, a lot of them would be sort of 1 minute 30, but some might be 10 minutes, 15 minutes, because now people go, oh, I like the 1 minute 30, now I'm going to go and watch the extended version. It's a great question, and it's not 7 hours all at once either, because who has that kind of time? It's over 90 days, but it's a great question because that's the testing. Okay, the 1 minute 30s, they're doing okay, but hang on, who's coming and watching my 10 or my 15 minutes or my 30 minutes of value here? So it's broken up and mashed up into different, but that's exactly right. All of these need to lead them somewhere, passively lead them somewhere. It might be to the landing page, a call to action, somewhere, what we call a video sales letter, so somewhere for them to watch an extended piece of content. So for example, the recent Salesforce event that I did, we have a short form content that's going out across LinkedIn and other media channels that then gets delivered in probably about, a 1 hour session that's been broken up into over 50 pieces of content. The stuff that you can do now with leveraging some of these AI tools and these incredible tools that are at our fingertips, it's quite incredible what you can achieve. So that's now being, lots of different short form content, lots of different interactions, 7-11-4 framework, then they can go to the landing page to watch the whole thing. So if they want to watch the whole thing, they can watch the whole thing. Then off the back of that, several call to actions of the way in which you can engage. Do you want a one-on-one? You want to solve your marketing problem? All these different ways in which they can engage. So that journey is really mission critical, and it all starts here, because here is where they're watching, here is where they're engaging, and now at the intention stage. So does that answer your question?
It does.
Yeah, awesome. And then at the intention stage now, it's like, okay, depending on who you are, now you need to get some details, or we need to actually start to have a conversation. So now at this stage, they might opt in. So they might opt in, if you're in maybe B2B consulting, they might opt into a masterclass, right? So now they go from here, they go, you know what? I'm now going to sign up to this masterclass, because what's your name? John has said some really interesting things here, enough to interest me, enough to spark my curiosity. Now I'm going to come and join his masterclass, right? So now we've got details here, and we're now having a conversation. And let's just use video calls. They're now like human conversations, right? Because we're all doing video calls. So whether it's in person or on video, ideally, data says in person, way better still. So if you're in B2B or you're doing direct selling, in person still outperforms video or phone call. Yeah, there's something about, and because we've all been through COVID, there's something about being in the room, having the conversation, and actually having that persuasion and influence. So that's your key. So you might have your one to many. So just so we're clear, this is one to many. So I'm in a room, I'm speaking to 45 people, leverage, one to many. One conversation, 45 times. Yeah? One-to-one is now you and I having a direct conversation and we're discussing. Yeah, so depending on your business, they will go through. Now you've got the conversation, then you've got the sales process that we all know, all of us have probably got 5 to 6 steps in our sales process to then finally get a conversion. Isn't it great? So much to be done just to bring people into our funnel. But this is what you need to be thinking about now, because this isn't going away. And in fact, with where we're going with AI, this is only accelerating, okay? So the big companies right now, so if you think about sort of the big consumer brands, what they're thinking about right now is, okay, how do I get my house in order? How do I get my marketing technology stack in order? How do I make sure that I've got a robust CRM? I've got a really strong digital asset management platform. I've got a really strong CMS for my website, and all of my systems are talking to each other. Yeah, if I'm using a CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot, have I got workflows like email automation workflows set up so that if someone does opt in here for my masterclass, they're now going to get a really nice set of communications via email or SMS to bring them through the journey. yeah, because they want to be engaging at that stage of the funnel. So this is what these marketers are thinking about to go, okay, well, if I'm going to leverage all of this, if I'm going to leverage all of these capabilities, how do I get my house in order first up? That makes sense? Cool, you with me? So this is, and I know this kind of feels like, gosh, that's a lot to do. My advice is just, how do you eat an elephant? Well, you shouldn't, but if you're going to, just one bite at a time. Yeah, so you have to start small here and go, right, how can I just maybe collaborate with a third party? Let me just do one of those things. Where's a great third party that I could collaborate with and we'll do something together? Then you know what? Off that, I've got some short form content. Now I'm going to start to post that just on one channel, on my LinkedIn channel, or whatever it might be. And then you build the momentum from there. But this just sort of gives you that full picture of, okay, how do I now reach the audience that I want to reach that is not currently engaging with me? And this piece here is where you're almost like omnipresent in their lives. You haven't met them. Like I have people come up to me and say, "Hey, Aleisha, I saw your content, but I didn't even know you before that stage." So they are engaging content, not knowing you. And you guys will know this if you think about maybe like some podcasts you watch or some people you follow on Instagram. You feel like you have a personal relationship with that person. You're seeing their content come out regularly. You've never met them in real life. But you do feel like you have a relationship with them because you're watching that content regularly. You're engaging with them regularly. Yeah, so this is no different. So that's our media and our marketing funnel, the new 2025 version. Now, once we get, which I think really matters for any of the business owners in the room, is once we get to this stage here, where we're really starting to now think about, well, if I'm going to start engaging with my audience, how do I now actually do that in an effective way? So what I'm going to do now is just take you through sort of the steps for that so that you guys can walk away and start to create some of these things in your business when you leave the room tonight, because you're all going to go home and obviously write this out and do it. So your business plan is all ready to go for tomorrow, right? So, no, I'm not getting much energy there, okay? No, yes, exactly. Thank you. That's what's going to happen. So let me move to this next part. So I'm going to take you through sort of like the process of how to now take this and then how to really make it work in your business with a feedback loop so you know what's working and what's not. Because this is all really lovely, but if it doesn't work, there's no point doing it because you're just going to waste a whole bunch of time on stuff that doesn't actually generate value for your business. And this is the hardest part for the business owners in the room, myself included, is what do I focus on? I've got 10,000 things that need to get done. I've got 20 people who need something from me today. Where am I going to focus my energy? What is the 20% that is going to get me 80% of my results? Yeah? Focus on, that's what we want to do. We want to focus on the 20% that's going to get us 80% of the result. So when I start to think about this and I start to think about, okay, well, who am I creating this stuff for? Like, who am I actually doing this for? Because that's a big part of winning over the algorithm that I was speaking about before. So I wanted to introduce you to my BFF. This is Kathy. She's my Chief Marketing Officer. She wants things delivered on time and on budget, according to her expectations, with better quality than she would expect from her own team. So without a word of a lie, Kathy, she's come off my home office. Like she's been traveling quite a bit this year, so she needs a new frame. But this is my BFF, Kathy, my Chief Marketing Officer. She is my core persona. She is the person that I am thinking about whenever I create any of that content. Now, if you look at this persona, I know her, the quick wins that she wants to achieve. I know her yearly budget. I know the business type that she's working in. I know if she's big picture focused or she's detail focused. I know her needs and desires. I know her priorities. I know her pain points, and I know her goals. This is a fully fleshed out persona. Yeah. Now, most businesses will have a minimum of 3 personas. So at UEC, we have Kathy, our Chief Marketing Officer, we have Kelly, our Marketing Manager, and we have Keith, our Business Owner. Why are they all K's?
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Because I need to keep things simple. So anytime, just break it down, it's got to be simple. But they are, and Kathy's our key, right? So we need to keep her, and I need to keep her front of mind in everything I'm doing here. So if you don't have key personas in your business, and these are based on two things. They're based on qualitative and quantitative data. So qualitative is the input from me, the team. What do we know? What do we feel? What does our intuition say? And then the quantitative is, what does the data say? What's our data of our current clients saying? And what's our data of maybe third-party companies similar to us, so that we can create these personas? If you are doing any form of marketing in your business, I encourage you to have these personas, because they give you the visualization to know who you're actually going after. Because if you create all this short form content, but it doesn't mean anything, and it completely goes over the head of your persona, well, you've just wasted your time, because you're saying a whole bunch of stuff, but no one's listening. Cool? So that persona is absolutely mission critical. And when you move, if any of you are doing advertising, if you do end up doing any form of advertising, no matter how small it is, if you can take your persona and you can overlay that with the interest groups that you're targeting on a media platform level, the greater efficiency you can get between your persona, the media advertising interest, demo, behavioral aspects, the greater ability you are going to have to actually target your audience. And as small businesses in the room, you cannot afford to just open the net if you're doing any media advertising and hope for the best. Hope is not a strategy. I checked. It's not. Okay, so when you are doing this, if you've got your persona, if you're clear on that, now you can tell the media platforms what you need, the interests, the behaviors, the geos that you need to then be able to drive the optimal performance. Does that make sense? Yeah? So takeaway one, go and create personas for your brand. Once you've got those personas, now you can really start to get clear, and you can start to think about, okay, well, how would Kathy move through my sales funnel? Because most businesses don't actually know the steps in the process that people need to go through in order to spend $1 with them. Okay, so I want you to think about your own businesses now. I want you to think about, what are the steps that my persona, Kathy, whoever that is for you, need to go through from awareness right through to the funnel to actually then buy something from you? So does anyone have an example? Does anyone have a process that they can think of that I can use for this example of the way people move from impression to then actually converting? Anyone got one? I've got a couple of examples I bought, but if someone's got one in the room that we can use, I can take you through the steps that somebody needs to go through in order to buy from you, because this is key. If I'm going to leave you with anything tonight, what I want to leave you with is, if you can understand the steps in the sales process that somebody goes through to buy from you, and then you can optimize and improve that process, figure out what works and what doesn't, now you've got a scalable business. Or at least a business that you can run with minimal effort. Yeah? So let me explain what this all looks like. And if anyone thinks they might have an example, let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to use one of my own. And then we can all critique it together, and then I can go back and fix it tomorrow, because mine aren't perfect either. So let's give this a go. Let me go here. See how we go. You guys will be able to see. This might be a bit messy, but we'll see how we go. That one more. Give that one more shot. As long as you can see where my arrows go, we're all good. So we'll deal with the cleanliness later. Oh, I know, right? Exactly. Mine at home, shocking. So then it's got the kids with rainbows and all that kind of thing over top of it. So I don't even know what I've written on it either. So this now, sorry, did someone have a question?
I've got a potential.
Okay, cool.
If you'd like to run it past.
Would love to. So what's your business, first of all?
Hotshot Photography.
Cool.
30 years in family, corporate portrait sector.
Yes.
Finding challenges currently with our trusty iPhones.
Yep. Yes, absolutely.
Smartphones, devices. They've even taken, or other peers in my industry, like the wedding photographers. I don't do as many weddings anymore, but wedding photographers say to me all the time, oh, people just use their iPhones, or they just collaborate using all of their friends and family's images at the end of the day. It's a hit and miss. as we all know, even for, you asked about corporate portraiture before.
Yep.
It's a hit and miss. Like, we can do it ourselves. We can do a selfie. We do a selfie. We can generate our own corporate portrait with AI. How does the consumer trust in this advertising? I've got an advertising background as well.
Yep.
Used to be radio, TV, press.
Yep.
And now I'm like, social media. You know,
Yeah.
just throwing a curveball, as you said.
No, it's exactly it. I think there's
So I guess, if people are looking at, say, a wedding photographer, for example.
Yep.
How would they go through this process?
Yeah, that's a great example.
Have you
Yeah.
noticed what you're seeing from a photographer these days?
Yep.
That's actually my work.
Yep.
Because seriously, I could put any photo on my website and say I took it, and no one would ever know.
And this is a great example for many reasons, because it's one of the industries that are being challenged at the moment as well. And so if we go back to that 7-11-4 framework and the short form content, it's now, what's your name, Lovely? Jody. So Jody's job is now going to be to educate all of us, to educate all of our consumers on why you would still go and get a professional photographer for this, and all of the value and all of the reasons and the ownership and the angles and the way in which you are going to be captured emotionally that AI just can't do. So now your job, which is, and we're all having to adjust, is how do people like Jody now make sure that the consumer understands that if I'm, and especially for things like weddings or personal occasions, is that I want Jody to capture the essence of my event. I want her to capture the spirit, the emotion. I want to have all of those different angles, all of those different special shots. She now needs to explain to me at the top of the funnel, you remember, with the short form content, with the articles and all that kind of thing, of literally like the differences. And to explicitly explain those differences, so I can go, you know what, there's no way I'm not going to have Jody at my wedding because it's that important. So let's now, that's their funnel point. Now let's look at her sales funnel. So if we just take a typical sales funnel, and I'll just get this for you, and let's just use let's say presentation, and then sale. So in your sales funnel, I'm going to just explain the concept, and then we're going to use Jody's example. So you've got, at the top of the funnel, you've got impressions. So there's all of these awareness impressions floating out. People might see your business. They might drive past and see your car wrapped in your brand. There's a whole bunch of different interactions that they'll have at the impression stage. Then we move to the next stage, which is a click. So they've now actually taken action. They've gone to the website and they've actually interacted in some way with your brand. The next stage, if they're interested or they see a call to action, they might then place a lead. So, yep, you know what, I'm really interested to understand you potentially coming and taking the photos for my wedding. Yep, so now on the website, I'm now going to give my details so that Jody can give me a buzz back. That's the lead stage, so I'm now capturing something. Next stage of the funnel might be now a presentation or a consultation or a conversation to say, okay, look, these are all the reasons why you would choose us, and here's the value proposition to deliver. Then after that, there might be, in a lot of cases, I know in the home loan industry, it's an 18-step sales process. So I'm giving you the very short version here, but there are, for a lot of you, there will be multiple steps in the funnel. Presentation, back and forth, phone call, follow-up, appointment form, order form, then finally you get the sale. But let's just say this is simple, and for Jody, she goes from impression to click to lead to presentation. Now the value here is that if she's got, for example, let's just go, say she's got 1,000 impressions, she might have 100 clicks, 10 leads, 5 presentations, and 1 sale. So this is her sales funnel. So in order to get 1 sale, she's got to reach 1,000 people at the top of the funnel from an impression standpoint just to get 1 sale. I know, right? So she's got 1,000 to 100 to 10 to 5 to 1. Yep, that's normally the kind of metrics that we're working with here. So if that's Jody's current funnel, let's just say, if Jody then just goes, you know what, this is not changing, my clicks are not changing, but all I'm going to do is make a small improvement here, and now I'm going to get 20 leads, and that's going to give me 10 presentations and 3 sales. Now, all she's done, so this is really important, Her impressions haven't changed. So the floating around at that awareness level hasn't changed. The clicks have not changed, still exactly the same. All she's done is she's gone onto her website and gone, what can I do? What are 2 to 3 things I can do to now maybe lift the image up, make the form more obvious, make the value proposition more compelling? Now she's gone from 10 to 20 leads, and she's just made a few enhancements. So now she's effectively doubled, no change here, no change in impression, no change at click. Now she's doubled the number of leads that she's getting into the business. Now with those leads, she's now doubled the number of presentations, and she's increased her sales by 3 times. And all she's done, just to be clear, all she's done, looked at her website. What can I improve on the page to get more people to inquire? What are the strategies that I need to use to get more people to inquire? Now, all she's done from lead to presentation is she's improved her follow-up. So she's done 3 different things. Maybe she's called 3 different times. Maybe she's sent an SMS reminder. Maybe she's, made the invitation look beautiful. So it's like gorgeous to look at. And I was like, of course I'm going to come to your presentation. Your invitation is so gorgeous. I don't know what those things are. All I know now is that because she's made improvements at different stages of the funnel, she now gets 3 times the sales than what she would normally achieve. Say it with me. Ka-ching. Yeah? Yeah? It's better when you do the actions, right? So she, just in doing that, so this is where I don't, it looks big when you're at a media advertising, you're big business level, but at a small business level, if you just break that down, it's the same for you in events, right? So same thing, right? Okay, now I'm going to have a conversation at some point. So how do I now get more people to opt in to learn more about their event for a discovery session or a masterclass or whatever it might be, so you can get that interaction? And then how do you get those people to the presentation, the solution, whatever it might be, and then the final sale? Yeah. So what is really important here is the feedback loop. Yeah, and I learned this in figure skating, because when I was learning how to do, I'm not going to do it because I can't jump anymore. I used to be able to do it, but not for like 20 years. So, but anyway, in figure skating, when you were going to, for example, learn how to do a jump. So what the main jump is an axel. So you go in backwards on a back right outside edge, you then step in and you do a 1.5 rotation in the air, nice and beautifully, and then you land, right? So that's like the first sort of, thank you. If only I could actually show you what it actually looks like, right? But that is sort of the first jump. So in figure skating, it's like, right, the feedback loop is you do something, you measure it, you analyze it, you repeat it until you get the outcome that you want. So in learning a jump, you have to do lots of jumps. You have to fall on your butt a lot of times, hurt your tailbone, all that kind of thing. You then have to watch yourself doing it to analyze, okay, what's working, what's not? How do I need to adjust? Okay, if I just jump up vertically instead of out to the side, I'm going to get my rotation faster, all of these little things, and then eventually you land the jump. In business, it's no different. You have to test these things. Well, first of all, you have to do things. You actually have to do stuff, right? So we have to do stuff. Then we have to measure, okay, what's working, what's not, how can we improve? Analyze, repeat it over and over again until we get the outcome that we're looking for. So this is where the discipline comes in. And you really have to just figure out, what am I trying to do here? What am I trying to improve to then get the result ultimately that you're looking for? Cool? Still with me? How am I going for time, ladies? Okay. Good. Actually, no, this is good. Okay, so that's, yes. I told them, I was like, I've got my watch stopped working today. So I was like, this is going to be really bad for everyone that attends because my watch isn't working anymore. So good luck to you all. So we'll wrap up, we'll wrap up on this. But so the reason why I think this is so important is that if you can nail this, so say you guys go away and you go, you know what, I'm just going to nail my sales process. I'm going to understand what my current numbers are, my benchmark, and then I'm going to improve them from there. If you just do that, now you've got a business that you can scale. What that means then is you could actually then go and invest in media advertising, because you know if the bottom of the funnel works, now let's use Jodie's example with photography. If she nails this bit and she knows for every 100 clicks she gets 3 sales, she can then go, right, that's a good base. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and spend just $1,000 on Meta, for example, so on Facebook, let's keep it easy. And of that $1,000, I just want to generate my next 100 clicks. Yeah, so now she goes, right, that's my investment. I get my 100 clicks. She knows providing those clicks are qualified and they grab Kathy, whoever her Kathy is, now she's going to be able to get the conversion rate that she needs. She's going to be able to grow her business, maybe bring a few other photographers on board, and the rest is history. And then she looks back in a year from now and she goes, oh, well, that worked out. But it was because she followed the process and she did everything that she needs to do. So that really is this part is so important, because if anyone owns a business, works in a business, we all know that we have to achieve bottom line results. We have to keep the lights on, we're going to pay the rent, and we want to prosper and have successful, profitable businesses. This is what gets you there, because often the biggest things that get overlooked are sales and marketing. Yeah? But once you get that engine going, now you have a business that you can count on to deliver the leads, to deliver the sales that you need to grow, and to deliver the services that you will, I'm sure, deliver really well. But it comes back to this, and then and I think this, once you know your numbers, once you track your numbers, and once you have an idea of how things are performing, now you have confidence, yeah? Because you've built competence. Yeah, this is competence. I know my numbers. I'm confident in my numbers. Now you have the confidence to grow, yeah, to grow the business, but you're doing it smart. CFOs and accountants in the room, the numbers stack up. You know, whenever I'm talking to a CMO, I'm very quickly talking to a CFO. CFO, these are the numbers. This is how it works. This is how we're going to grow the business. Yeah, and that is where you get the self-funding, what I would call the self-funding campaign. So if Jody knows that every time she invests $1,000, she gets 3 clients at $5,000 each, she's now got a 5-to-1 return. She's happy, yeah? Because she goes, I'm going to invest $1,000, get 3 clients, that's $15,000 in revenue, that's a good outcome. But she can now go about that, keep improving that, and then maybe she can get this to 4. And now for every $1,000 she invests, she gets 4 clients at $5,000 each, that's $20,000, yeah? So that is where you'll all, as a result of that, just gain the confidence to be able to grow your businesses successfully. So on that note, I'm going to wrap up. I could literally go through another 10 things, but I'm going to wrap up because I promised that I would end relatively on time, which I think I'm only 15 minutes over, so that's a pretty good outcome. But if there are any questions that you do have, I can take 1 or 2 now. Otherwise, I'm going to be around for the next half an hour, and I'm happy to answer any questions I can, because the goal, as I said, you know, I love doing this. I love talking about media advertising and marketing, but what I really love most is seeing businesses thrive. Yeah, of using these strategies and really seeing them thrive to get the results that they want to achieve. So is there any quick questions at the moment, or?
Just in terms of the type of media to use, on Meta, Instagram, LinkedIn, that sort of piece. You talked a lot about videos and short form, but things like written pieces, photos, like how does that get through the algorithm, and how do you use different types of media?
Yeah, great question. So videos tend to perform the best for the algorithm as it stands right now, but I'm mixing it up. So I'm still using like images, like if I find a really good infographic or I've created that, or for example, a link to a blog. So if there's a really great piece of blog, then it comes into the copy. So it's like, okay, how can I curate that copy to get Kathy to stop in her feed? Dear CMO, like, you know, I used one the other day, 80% of CMOs are burnt out. Whoa, that's me. Okay, now I'm going to read, now I'm going to click. So be creative. It's not just about your video, it's about being creative with your copy as well. What's going to talk to that core persona and get her to stop in the feed and go, actually, that's me. Like I can barely keep up. I've got so much going on. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm expected to grow the existing business and plan for the future. And I've got like all these things I've got to do, and the board needs reports and the CFO needs reports, and I've got to like look after my 3 kids. That, if you can tap into that, and whoever that is for you, that is going to cut through. So video is absolutely the top performer right now, but I wouldn't underestimate the value of great copy and image that just captures people to stop them in their feed. And then call your friends for the likes and comments. Yes, Jody.
I think the takeaway I take from that table, in my business anyway, is the middle section, lead and presentation. And what I didn't think of until you mentioned it, go back to basics perhaps, and actually follow your leads, call the client back, do the, like we used to in the old days. I kicked off my business with television advertising, and back then it was like the expensive medium. No one else in Canberra could afford it. Do it. I worked in advertising and marketing, so
Yep.
I had a bit of an edge.
Yeah.
But, that's how I kicked off the business.
Yep.
These days, like, we'll put the money into social media,
Mhm.
but a like doesn't equal the dollar sign at the bottom.
Correct.
So I guess when my TV ad used to play
Yep.
20 years ago, the landline phone was right on our desks,
Yep.
and it actually used to ring.
Yep.
The minute it was on the Today Show, it would ring.
Yep. Yep.
Late news, it would ring. So that's how it was. It proved itself. I guess we have to go back to basics in some
Yep.
aspect and actually follow through and call people back, because I know myself I'm losing a lot
Yep.
in that lead section,
Mhm.
because I get disheartened at the 1,000 and think, oh, there's no likes.
Yep.
Likes aren't money. So you sort
Correct.
of lose all your mojo then, don't you?
Yeah, and it's
Whereas
yeah.
when you sort of pick up and
No, you're spot on. And actually, the magic is here.
that's just
Yeah. No,
Thank
that.
you for that moment.
No, I'm really glad, because
That's really great.
if you can break through, like, this stuff is all just surface level stuff. It really doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? This is the stuff that makes your business successful. And this, yeah,
Haven't got anyone down to that section. It doesn't matter how good the image or the video actually is. It's managing that lead.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
totally. And never underestimating that you need to create an experience here as well. So sometimes we can get very fixated on the process that we need to take our customer through or our prospect through. But I would never, ever underestimate the experience that can be created at this phase to give them, an incredible experience where they walk away going, I've just got to work with them. I've got to get my photos taken by Jodie. So that is this part, surface, magic's here, produces this. Cool? Awesome.
It's been a great presentation, by the way. I really loved your energy and your vibe and your ice skating.
Just gonna rock it out. I'm gonna go home and practice now and go like, right, I can do it.
Do you do like sort of individual sort of like exploration sort of sessions? Because particularly for myself, like just launching and in the event space, I mean, I get all of this, and I have got a bit of a social media strategy, and I'm going to be running a podcast at the same time to build up a community. But initially, I don't have a community, and so one of the things for me is a bit different to that. It's like if I put, apart from having a website and a nice flyer for an event, and I put that out on Eventbrite, I don't know who's going to show up.
Yep.
Literally, like I can put out a flyer there, and go, I'm running a Christmas event.
Yep.
Book out a ballroom. But it could just be like a bit of a random crowd, because I haven't built up a community. No one knows who I am, and no one's been to any of my events because I don't exist yet. And so, that to me is like a slightly different challenge to that. But I wouldn't mind hearing like your views on that. And then I was thinking of doing like a radio campaign, but it'd be good to sort of do like a one-on-one, just to kind of get a bit more of a deep dive on.
For sure, we've got my team will make sure that the Servcorp team have some contacts and that kind of thing, so that you can reach out and.
Before I kind of put it out there, buying tickets.
Yeah.
How do you kind of target it when you don't have a community? And I know in my mind what sort of crowd I want there at the event, and then I'm designing the event around that sort of people. But then on the day it might be a totally different age demographic, different crowd, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hang on, the vibe that I was going for.
And you know what? Your first few may not work out. Like, I've had so many, like, in business in 11 years, that's been part of the humility of it all. Is like, I've had moments where it's just like I've completely fallen flat on my face. Had to pick myself back up and go, well, that didn't work out so well. And then, I got it right the second, third, fourth time. So my advice to you is don't expect it to be perfect the first time, because it won't. Yeah, correct. And then also 80% of the magic is in the planning as well. So you nail that planning, then you know that the execution is just what has to be done. But we'll make sure that you've got some contacts and stuff to be able to get, because you're right, that planning stage is key.
When you're starting out,
Oh,
I'd rather get as many like ducks lined up properly and do it the right way than.
Correct. My only advice to you, as I say this to my team all the time, perfection is the poison of profitability. Perfection is the poison of profitability. So we are and myself, I can be such a perfectionist at times when that extra 20% really doesn't matter. So it's like, get to the 80%, make sure you've done a great job, but do not let yourself get caught up with the perfectionism of it's got to be perfect, because it just won't. and people just won't care. And then you realize, okay, like it's all good, but everything that you're saying of all those steps that you're taking is exactly the right thinking. So we'll have a chat afterwards.
I have no doubt your funnel and framework works. What about the self-confidence to do those videos? Because not everyone's comfortable in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And for example, she's the image of my company, but she's not very confident when it comes to marketing.
No, I understand, and it's not. It's a tough one because it is quite confronting, and like I even know myself, having done this for many years, it's still quite nerve-wracking to put yourself out there on camera like that. But there are lots of different ways that you can move. Like with AI now, you can do educational videos that it doesn't even have to be that personal brand. So you've got options. You can do a personal brand, you can do education, you can create education videos leveraging platforms now where you can do that in like 5 to 10 minutes kind of thing. So there are different ways that you can build up that top of funnel that doesn't necessarily involve a personal brand or someone on the camera. Or if you've got multiple people that you can share that across, great. But my advice would be mix it up. So if that's not your thing, which for a lot of people it's not, it's like, I think the numbers are like 3 in 4 people just don't want to do it. It's only 1 in 4 that actually are willing to, to do it. So it's quite common. So my advice would be, if that's not part of the brand strategy, if that's not part of the approach, then find other ways to make that work, or just start small and give it a go, see how you go in a safe environment, and then go out from there. Because it depends. If you're building a company with a personal brand, then yeah, you got to do it. But if you don't, not all companies need to be built, and many great companies have not been built off personal brands. They've been built off great storytelling, great education, great value creation. So it doesn't have to be that short form content. It can be lots of education, lots of value, lots of snippets. We've got one client in the home loan business, and we have like a big blow up house, Mr. House, and he's going to give you all of the advice that you need, all of the education that you need to help you solve your problems and to achieve property ownership. Right? He's just a goofy guy with a green roof and a few hands and legs that we, got going. But he's the educator, he's the face, he's the guide, he's a cartoon character. But, he's doing a great job. So don't get stuck on the fact that it has to be a person, because you've got a lot of other options to choose from.